17 years have passed, and Brandon Swanson has never been found. No body, no confirmed cause, no explanation. On the night of May 14, 2008, Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old college student from Marshall, Minnesota, began what should have been a routine drive home through the quiet rural roads of southwestern Minnesota. It was an ordinary night. Nothing felt out of place. Just after midnight, Brandon called his parents to say his car had slid into a ditch. He told them he was fine. He believed he was close to home, and he planned to walk toward nearby lights to find help. The phone call lasted 47 minutes. It ended with a sudden exclamation, and then silence. 17 years later, Brandon Swanson is still missing. What really happened to Brandon Swanson that night? Brandon Swanson was born on January 30th, 1989. He was a student at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. He studied wind energy. According to family and friends, Brandon had no history of mental illness. He had no financial problems, no personal conflicts. There was no sign he wanted to disappear. Brandon was a young man living a very ordinary life. That evening, Brandon stayed in the town of Canby, celebrating the end of the semester with friends. There was alcohol that night, but friends said he was not intoxicated. Near midnight, Brandon drove his green Chevy Lumina toward his home in Marshall. Normally, he would take Highway 68. It was a familiar route. But that night, Brandon turned onto dark rural roads. This detail is critical. Rural roads at night lack lighting and landmarks. One slippery curve can send a car into a ditch. At approximately 1:54 a.m., Brandon called his parents. His voice was calm. He said his car had slid into a roadside ditch. The vehicle could not get out. He was unsure of his exact location. Brandon believed he was near the town of Lynd. Brian and Annette Swanson immediately began searching for their son. They stayed on the phone with Brandon. Both sides began flashing their headlights. Brandon said he could see his parents' headlights, but his parents could not see Brandon's, and Brandon could not see them. They believed they were close. They were not. They were more than 25 miles apart. This is a classic case of nighttime disorientation. Distant lights can be mistaken for nearby towns. In complete darkness, the brain creates a false map. The call continued for nearly 47 minutes. Brandon described gravel roads and open fields. Frustration slowly entered his voice. Eventually, Brandon decided to leave his car behind. He began walking toward distant lights. He climbed over fences, crossed fields, and walked through a moonless night. Throughout the walk, Brandon continued talking to his father. They talked about school, about plans for the summer. His voice remained clear and steady. There were no signs of panic. At approximately 2:27 a.m., everything changed. In the middle of a sentence, Brandon suddenly said, "Oh shit." There was no explanation, no cry for help, no sound of a struggle. Immediately after, the line went dead. Brian Swanson called back repeatedly. Every call went straight to voicemail. Those were the last words anyone ever heard from Brandon Swanson. The next morning, the family contacted police. At first, the response was slow. Brandon was a legal adult. Officers believed it was not unusual for a college student to be gone overnight. But phone records revealed a disturbing truth. Brandon had not been near Lynd. His phone signal came from the Porter Taunton area. That location was roughly 25 miles away. Brandon's Chevy Lumina was found in a ditch near Lincoln Road. The car was not heavily damaged. There were no signs of a serious crash. His phone was gone. His keys were gone. And Brandon was gone. Search dogs were brought in. Brandon's scent was tracked for miles. The trail led to the banks of the Yellow Medicine River. There, the scent stopped abruptly. No clothing, no personal items, no signs of a struggle. After days of searching, Brandon Swanson had completely vanished. To this day, there is no physical evidence explaining what happened. His final words still echo, "Oh shit." Several theories have been proposed. He may have suffered a terrain-related accident. He may have fallen into the river or a hidden ditch. He may have become further lost in the darkness. But these remain theories. The only certainty is that Brandon was trying to get home. He was talking to his parents, and he disappeared within seconds. Brandon Swanson's disappearance led to the creation of Brandon's Law in Minnesota. The law requires immediate investigation of missing adults. More than 15 years have passed. Brandon's parents still leave the porch light on every night, not because they know he will return, but because they never received answers. Some stories have no ending, and some final words are never explained.